Hello and welcome to our fourth installment of AHS Insider. I'm Mario, and we have three lovely civilizations to go over with three lovely producers. Let's roll the first one, the Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire. The Roman Empire spanned from 753 BC to the final year of 476 AD. Rome and its empire with a great republic lasted 1,000 years. It's hard to be brief when trying to cover the history of Rome. After all, the Roman Empire is one of the greatest civilizations it's ever been and anyone's ever seen before. But how did the empire start? Rome was founded sometime around the 8th century BCE, although there is a debate among historians to this day, as the exact date and manner of which this happened is kind of in a blur. The date generally given, though, is 753 BCE. Romulus and Remus were the two brothers that started Rome, according to the legend, obviously. These two brothers were the sons of Mars, the Roman god of war. As they were building the city, the brothers began to fight over who would be the leader of the city. According to legend, Romulus killed Remus, so Romulus was left as the sole leader of the city of Rome, which took his name, Rome. Who were the Roman enemies during the period of time in history? During the Roman kingdom, the primary enemy was the Gauls. During the Roman Republic and the Punic Wars, the biggest enemy was the Carnage. And during the early Roman Empire, their main enemies were the Persians. Obviously, the really uncool and unliked Persians. I'm not going to keep rambling on about all the wars that Rome had in their different time periods, but as you can understand, they had a lot of enemies. It's because they were the best. Especially Athens, who kept just trying to poke the bull, but the bull came back 3 times and defeated the Athens. In conclusion, the greatest legacy of the empire is the Latin language of ancient Rome. This Latin language turned into many other languages, and optimized by the classical Latin used in Latin literature and medical law research fields today. This evolved during the Middle Ages and remains to be used in the Roman Catholic Church. This style of vulgar Latin is a common tongue used for regular social interactions. It's involved in various Romance language that exist today, like Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian, Catalan, and Sardinian. After all the glorious conquering and the legacy they created, the Romans had to have been defeated at one point. The barbarians from the Germanic states came down and wrecked the best of the Roman armies, showing that what is good must come down, and the best have came down. No other civilization will ever be as good as the Roman Empire, especially not Athens or Sparta over there.
Well, wasn't that video amazing? Now on to a bunch of puny thinkers.
Whatever, Mario. Athens was clearly the better civilization. You'll see. Let's roll the clips.
From 3000 BC to 404 BC, Athens ruled as one of the largest and most advanced civilizations known in Europe. Far superior to Sparta and its messy oligarchy, Athens was quite sophisticated with its democracy. Did you know that Athens formed the first ever democracy? Yeah, that's right, the same form of government we continue to use today. Crazy, isn't it? Their government worked like this. Every citizen would vote on the city-state's important issues, such as whether or not to declare war, specifically on Sparta, Persia, and Rome, because they all suck. All public officials and even generals commanding the army were elected or chosen through a lottery. Sounds a lot like how ours operates today, doesn't it? Well, more or less. Democracy is Athens' greatest legacy. Not only was Athens' government better in every single way, but their navy was considered one of the strongest at the time. Sure, Sparta had their fierce soldiers and powerful army, but Athens had the biggest naval fleet amongst any other Greek city-state. Even Persia's 36,000 naval men didn't stand a chance against Athens' 80,000. Not even the Roman navy could compare. Through their naval advances, Athens had several strong alliances along the northern and eastern shores of the Aegean Sea. Sparta, Persia, and Rome were definitely not one of them. As I'm sure most of you are already aware of, Athens and Sparta had a 15-year-long beef, better known as the Peloponnesian War. From 431 to 404 BC, the two influential Greek city-states butted heads, each determined to defeat the other. After a long decade and a half or so of pain and suffering, Athens was unfortunately forced to take the L and surrender to Sparta. Not only did Athens get into a little scuffle with Sparta, but with Persia as well. The Greco-Persian War lasted from 499 BC until 449 BC, ending in a victory for the Greeks. The poor Persians never stood a chance. And we can't forget about Athens' tussle with Rome, although I wish I could. Athens and the youngest of the four civilizations fought 3 times. The first from 217 to 205 BC, the next from 200 to 197 BC, and the last from 171 to 168 BC. Rome, being a whiny baby and spoiled brat who gets everything they want, won. Athens was at a clear disadvantage here. Its glory days had long since passed, and Rome took advantage of that, being young and strong and all. Athens put up a good fight, but eventually lost in the end. Beginner's luck, I guess.
All right. Well, that was Athens. Now on to the arguably worst civilization, Persia.
Now, hey Madison, no one wants to hear from small, tiny Athens. Is this you, by the way? Anyways, let's take a look at the greatest civilization of all time, Persia. Roll the clip.
The Persian Empire, the name given to a series of dynasties centered in the modern-day Iran that spanned several centuries from 6th century BC to the 20th century AD. The first Persian Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great around 550 BC, became one of the largest empires in history, stretching from Europe's Balkan Peninsula in the west to India's Indus Valley in the east. This Iron Age dynasty, sometimes called the Achaemenid Empire, was a global hub of culture, religion, science, art, and technology for more than 200 years before it fell. Darius the Great, the fourth king of the Persian Empire, ruled over when it was at its largest, stretching from the Caucasus in West Asia to what was then Macedonia, today's Balkans. It also stretched from the Black Sea, Central Asia, and even into Africa, including parts of Libya and Egypt. He unified the empire through introducing standard currency, weights, and measures, making Aramaic the official language, and building roads. Early Persian art included the large carved rock reliefs cut in the cliffs, such as those found at Naquish, Rustam, an ancient cemetery filled in the tombs of Achaemenid kings. The elaborate rock murals depict equestrian scenes and battle victories. Many people think of Persia synonymous with Islam, though Islam only became the dominant religion in the Persian Empire after the Arab conquest of the 7th century. The first Persian Empire was shaped by a different religion, Zoroastrianism. Named after the Persian prophet Zoroaster, Zoroastrianism is one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions. The Persians entered a period of decline after the failed invasion of Greece by Xerxes in 480 BC. The costly defense of Persia's lands depleted the empire's funds, leading to heavier taxation among Persia's subjects. The Achaemenid dynasty finally fell to the invading armies of Alexander the Great of Macedon in 330 BC. A big part of the Persians' legacy was their long history of feuding and fighting the Greeks. Battles such as Thermopylae have been cemented in history as a famous battle that turned the tide against them. Unfortunately, the battle started their downfall, as years later they were conquered by Alexander the Great.
Like I said, we are the greatest empire of all time. And thank you for watching today's episode of AHS Insider. And I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you later.